Okay. Vintage computing. Why should kids be involved? By me, Zoe Smith. Okay, first we're gonna open with who am I? So I'm just like average kid. I go to school and I like vintage computers. That's about it. Okay, kids, show of hands, how many of you have actually done something with vintage computers? Okay, what have you done?
Playing on stuff my dad has at school.
That's valid. What have you done?
Test out computers for my father when he makes them.
Okay, and then, yeah, that's cool. Okay, Allie, what?
I'll play stuff.
Valid.
That's big.
Okay, and you?
I would create a simple chatbot with my dad on Apple IIe.
Whoa,
Apple or something.
that is really cool, yeah. Okay. So, strap in, guys, because we're going in the time machine. Also, yeah. This is from Giphy, by the way. Okay. So, we're back in the mid-1970s, and this is the IBM 1401, and it may look like a huge metal thing, but it's actually a computer, and it would do data analysis for small businesses and even some government facilities. So, yeah. And you may be asking, why is this relevant? This was 50 years ago and has no coordinates with what you're talking about. Well, actually it does, because this is where it all started. Because this actually went back into like the 1800s when Ada Lovelace first made a computer, but this is, we need to know where history started, that way we can figure out where it's going. On that note, there's also this phone. Oh, hi. And this phone, yeah, that was the first, I don't think it was the first, but it was one of the first portable phones. And within 50 years, we were able to get that smaller, the battery to be inside the phone, get rid of the keypad, and make it touchscreen. And also add what this does into that to some degree. And I asked people what they said and what their thoughts were. And Ken B said, all things pass into history, and that what was so clearly understood half a century ago and is now such a mystery, what we take for granted today as no-brainers will in fact be a mystery to those 50 years from now. Okay. You have died of dysentery. We've all seen this. Sometimes, some people might know where it actually came from. So, where did it come from? Well, it came from the Oregon Trail. And the Oregon Trail was made to entertain the students. And this was, this was made by a few teachers who wanted to engage their students in the Oregon Trail. And basically what they had to work with was a couple lines of code and a computer. Again, why is this relevant? Well, it's because they had limited materials. Limited materials spark creativity. I will talk about this later. And also, excuse me, there's this guy, John Carmack. He basically was told that it was impossible to have side-scrolling on an IBM PC. So with that, he decided that he was going to prove them wrong. So he made side-scrolling work on an IBM PC. And one of the first things he made was Super Mario Brothers. He pitched it to Nintendo, and they said no. So instead of giving up, which no one should do, he decided to get a team which consisted of himself, Ramiro, and Hall. If you want their first names, there's 2 Johns and a Tom, very generic. And they made Commander Keen, which you can see right here. And Commander Keen absolutely took off. And eventually, oh, how the tables have turned, Nintendo reached out to them. And Nintendo asked if they could have a version for the Game Boy. They said yes. So now there's a version for Commander Keen on the Game Boy. And John Carmack is also famous for Wolfenstein and other games. And that's where it all started. So everything had to start somewhere. That's another point. Let's talk about Miyamoto. I can't pronounce his first name for the life of me, so yeah. But he... Okay, Shigeru Miyamoto. He had limited materials, like everyone else. But one day, he was very bored. And he ended up making Kirby. And also Super Smash Brothers. Again, huge hit. And this was all because of limited materials. That is one reason we should be into vintage computing as kids. Because limited materials, no matter what you say, you will find out in the future that they are very important. And, okay, so, here in a second. Steve Wozniak, better known as Woz, he was in school and he thought computers were cool. So he thought he wanted one. He went out, they were too expensive. So instead of maybe moping around or just completely giving up, he made his own computer. Then later on, it became known as the Apple I. There's replicas of the original in museums. And the Apple I, yeah, he started working with Steve Jobs. 2 Steves. Okay. And both of them made Apple, and they eventually came out with the Apple II. And this was all because he was bored, and it built like an entire empire. So, yeah, that's what happens with boredom. And then David H. Hall, he didn't technically make any video games, but he was a compiler for a magazine. And without this magazine, none of these would exist. And going back to the roots, if none of these existed, we wouldn't have Apple. That means most of us wouldn't have a phone. And that means Kirby not exist, Wolfenstein not exist, the Oregon Trail, you have died of dysentery, would not exist. So things would be a whole lot different if we didn't have these video game people. And David H. Hall, that magazine reached a bunch of people. That's something similar to that magazine was where they got how to figure out how to code for the Oregon Trail. So, yeah. Hey, excuse you. And here are some cool things. So basically, this is the Sega Genesis. Really fun. Check it out. It has a bunch of games. It runs a whole bunch of things. But this is what I really want to cover. The Atari 7800 Plus. This was made back in like 2019, I want to say. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. But they decided that they wanted to keep the retro magic alive. So they released a new version of the Atari 7800. And if we want more things like this to start coming out, kids like us need to start showing interest. Because if the customer doesn't want it, the company's not going to make it. So if we want that to be passed along to future generations, and our generation for the record, we should show some interest. Okay. Here's a fun fact. Did you know that in the 1950s, scientists were trying to figure out how to make computers sing? One place actually accomplished this and made it sing Daisy Bell. Take a listen if it would work. There we go. And another fun fact, we're piling these on top of each other apparently, it inspired HAL 9000 in 2001, A Space Odyssey. So yeah, pretty cool. And this was using early speech synthesis, excuse me. Later on, speech synthesis got added to the Commodore 64 and the Apple II and many other computers. And people were using that to make music. Oh yeah, Down Polly. He used MIDI synthesizers. And yeah, that's also what they were doing with the IBM 7094, I think. Someone correct me. But yeah. And then there's also the Yamaha DX7. That was an early synth. Same company, excuse you, that made Vocaloid. Vocaloid, pretty sure at least 2 people in here have heard of it. Well, a whole bunch more, okay. And it would not exist without 2 scientists experimenting. And with that speech synthesis, people were able to start making music without actually needing to sing and, well, make it with lyrics. Take a listen to, I don't know how to pronounce that. I'm gonna say Beaky Blob, but Beaky Blob made Hatsune Miku sing a song about pancakes using Vocaloid. So yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, that all. It sounds way clearer than this one, probably because of the recording. And this is a product that is being sold all over the world now. So everything comes from something else. Okay. Here are the benefits. I put my favorite one first. It can do your homework. Because this is just, okay. I'm glad you're excited. It can do your homework. So basically, if you use a vintage computer and you make a program that can do like simple math, it can do your homework for you. I mean, that's a pretty good selling point. And it'll still count as your work because you made the program. Yeah. Okay. On the note of programming, that is huge benefit. You can make a whole bunch of cool things. You can use it for like anything. And if someone tells you something isn't possible, well, John Carmack proved us wrong with that one. So try and make something new. Excuse me. It also gives you problem-solving skills. Like if you want to work on a computer, then you can work on a computer. And if it's broken, then you'd have to problem solve. If you didn't have a material or something, you can figure out how to make it work temporarily. You can figure out how you're going to get the materials. Yeah, same thing for like programming. If you have a program that isn't working, you can easily go back, figure out the problem, and that's actually very helpful for actual life. It gives you a style of thinking, which is nice. Also, modern computers, they are very intricate, very complicated, because we figured out how to make computers do things that people back in the day didn't think was possible. So, if you have a vintage computer, you can take a look inside, try to figure out how the computer is working. You can look at a couple of them, then you get a gist for part of what our computers are doing today. So, after looking at enough of the vintage computers, you can start to have a concept of how our computers today are working, which is also very valuable, considering the fact that some of us can't even do simple functions because they're complicated, and also helps you figure out how to do those things. Yeah. And then, oh, there it is, limited tools, the thing I keep talking about. Limited tools are very important to have sometimes because although you might need a variety of tools, it's also helpful to figure out how to push the limits. So, if you have limited tools, you can start to get creative with what you have. You want to make something, then you have to start getting creative. It gives you problem-solving skills. And with those limited tools, you can start to not get distracted on the internet because even if you, like, as kids, temptation is a very powerful thing. So even if you have like the internet off or something, you're still gonna get distracted, probably gonna turn it back on, figure out a way to get around it. So having a vintage computer gets rid of those distractions and it sparks creativity. Again, here we are, style of thinking. It gives you a style of thinking that although it might not be evident, it's also, you're learning it in a way that is interactive and also more fun than looking stuff up and being boring. You can go through a computer, and that is very interesting because there's always more to discover. So giving you that style of thinking, also very helpful for the future. You'll be able to do research better. You'll be able to press refresh. I know some of our teachers need that assistance these days. And much more. And then here's a small point, AI. Yeah, AI can code, but so can we. That's something that we're gonna forget one day, because the computer is gonna do it for us. Excuse you, 1 second. Please hold. There we go. Thank you. Wow, spoilers? Wow, okay, what are you doing? Stop it. Oh my God. I think I'm officially at war with these computers. Okay, see? This is why we should be using vintage computers. Shut up. I'm putting this down. Oh my God. Okay. We should be using older machines for this. Okay. Where were we? Where were we before it started going haywire? Yeah. Yeah, that's what was going on. Definitely not me. So basically. Okay. AI, it's gonna do a lot of things. We're gonna forget that we can do those things. So we're gonna have to figure out how to pick that stuff back up. Also, AI doesn't know when to add or remove things. for like purposes in your head, because it's your head, and not all things in our head can be described. So if you just give something to the AI, A, it can make mistakes. How are we going to figure out what the mistake is if we don't know how to program? And B, it might just completely make something that you won't be able to figure out. It's going to be like some sorcery that somehow works. So we need to make things that way we can understand what's actually going on. And Ken B, here he is again, said, critical thinking skills, learning how to do deep research, the kind that takes more than a chatbot or a quick search on Google. How to consider, frame, and ask meaningful questions of a mentor, and how to find that mentor. How to work on something technical. Yeah. Here's the one that's been so subtly foreshadowed. Nostalgia. The thing we might not be able to experience because computers are going to keep getting better, but also not in the way that these did. Because although I was born in 2013, I still love these. They're amazing. In case you can't tell, I like Macs. These, if we bring these into our generation, the next generation will be able to experience the kind of nostalgia that our parents experienced. And we're not going to get that unless we pick up this hobby. I think it is very important to have this kind of nostalgia. Going back to the Atari 7800 Plus, that is also helping bring in that nostalgia and also giving it to us. So it's very helpful. Thank you, Atari. And older people, this is one of the main reasons some people are interested. This might be the only reason for some people, actually. And sorry, 1 second. That is not the only reason we should be interested. So, older people, although nostalgia is a huge point, there are many other points. And if that's the only thing that can convince you, then we gotta bring that into this generation. So, it'll be nice to pass that down to future generations, because they're not gonna know the feeling of like getting a Commodore 64 for Christmas. It's not the same as a PlayStation, guys. PlayStation 5. PlayStations, yeah. Okay, continuing on. So here are answers from other people. Guess who's back? It's Ken B. He was saying that it might not be for everyone, but for the few kids that dress a little differently and who wonder why all the time. Those few who enjoy peeling back the layers of the onion, who peek behind the curtains, those who wonder, what if I press this? For those kids, retro computing might just be a reward in itself. Retro Reboot said, to understand the iterative nature of computing and how we use and build computers now, the why behind it all. Why is a 32-bit called an x86? Why don't we use 12-bit words? What even is a word, etc.? Or maybe more approachable, the file save icon. What is it? It's a floppy disk. It breaks computing down into its fundamentals because it started out that way. No Blue Sky said, there is also the historical and societal, thank you, aspects, as obvious as it seems. It's in my opinion, very valuable to have hands-on and experience period correct hardware and software, not just for the nostalgia that drives some of us, but to know where we came from, how the industrial process evolved so much, and how we lived without smartphones in our pockets and did our daily tasks on software no one would want to try using today. Charlie J.V. said, The more ways you train yourself to think about solving problems, the more capable at solving problems you've never encountered before. You train yourself to be a creative problem solver who can handle anything. These are all good points, but these are from adults. I got one here from a teen who took up the hobby when she was around 13. So, Elizabeth, Protogen, Kitty? I don't know. Protogen, thank you. Said, honestly, I'm a teen and I started getting into vintage computers at around 13. It's really a rewarding hobby for a teen, to be honest. I have an old Dell laptop I still play with today. Don't mind that extra. So, you don't want to take the adults' words for it? Take it from, like, a teen. And there's also a couple of kids here who are actually interested in the hobby. So, you can go talk to them. Here's more because we got a lot of input. People are very enthusiastic about this. Portasound said, it is also a relatively cheap and low-stakes hobby. I learned a lot when I had access to e-waste because I didn't care about breaking stuff. KG Bird said, this hobby is for kids who want to know how we got here and why things work the way they do. Everything we have today was built on top of these machines. I would second the argument that working with vintage hardware is a good way to build critical thinking skills. Nothing from this era is turnkey except the video game consoles, and you have to learn before you can make these machines do anything. This is a very good point, and also ties back to, helps us understand computers today. Philip Andrews said, you can also fit the concept and operation of the entire machine in your head in one go quite easily and gain a full understanding of how it ticks. That's generally not possible with more contemporary computers. Yeah, I'd like to see someone go take apart a computer right now, like a modern one, and explain to me everything. That was rhetorical. B Plus said, learning the history of anything provides deep insight into how things are now. The classic QWERTY keyboard is a classic example. I imagine a big topic for vintage computing is bits and bytes from a time when RAM space was precious. Z-Sub said, an experience of the simplicity is also a good reason. See just what can be done within the limits. Limits spark creativity, guys. You could end up making a homebrew, like Attack of the Pesky Robots. Yeah. And then, this was VCF Southwest last year, I believe. And the community. The community. Whether you're full-grown adult or a little kid, if you're curious, you can go ask someone. That person will go on for as long as they possibly can. Dad. About what that computer can do or things that they've experienced with that computer or just fun facts. It's really rewarding to talk to them about that. And it's also very fun because later if you end up having that computer in your possession, you can think back to what they said. Oh yeah, that is capable of doing that. And also, it'll be more fun than watching a YouTube video maybe or just reading. Like, you can actually speak to someone. Thank you. And it's also really helpful to actually speak to someone face to face with something that you're interested in. Because A, you can comprehend what they're saying better, and B, you may have just made a new friend. And people in this community are extremely welcoming. If you're a kid, chances are the first person you find that's a kid who's interested in the hobby, they'll want to be friends because it's really nice to have someone the same age or remotely the same age as you who's into the same things that you are. Vintage computing? That's not a common hobby these days. We should change that. But, okay. But anyway, It's, where was I?
Friends.
Yeah. Yeah, because I've made 2 friends over the course of 3 days because we shared this interest. Also, you can learn a lot, and also you can like exchange things with other people. You can have a full-blown conversation on one computer, and you'll be constantly learning other things from each other. And also, these people are very much eager to talk about what they have. And my sister and I have gotten like a couple of free things from people or discounts because we're interested. So, you could try it. Like, people are very enthusiastic about it, and you might get something for free. Free stuff. Yeah. Okay. And now we're doing a recap. So, everything started at the beginning, so we gotta know where everything started. That way we can figure out where it's going to be in the future or end. Yeah. Then, video games. We all know them. We all love them. Excuse you, Cord. We can work with limited materials to get something as amazing as what they got. Also, gives you more knowledge, teaches you how to get more knowledge. Very cool. We can pass down the nostalgia to other generations, and I feel like that's kind of why we're not into it as much as because some people like didn't really care when they first came out. So not every kid gets to have an adult who has a computer that they can tinker with. And lastly, the community. Everyone's nice. It's kind of like a mutual thing. We all want to talk about our stuff. So we're not going to be mean because we want to talk about our stuff. So that's the end. Does anyone have any questions? Oh my God. Okay. Hallie, what do you want? Can I bow? I don't really want to.
Just that, do it. It's not a question, it's a demand. That's a
There we go. You're welcome. Does anyone have any questions related to this topic? What do you want? Hallie?
Where did you learn this? Did you learn it all from Dad?
I did research.
Oh, yeah.
Hallie, you saw me working at my computer for like 5 days straight because it's got to be perfect.
I see that.
Wait,
So
what?
you're surprised with the turnout.
Hi guys. There's a lot of you.
Great job. Great job.
Are you giving me food? I like you. Does anyone have any other questions? Oh, yeah.
Talking vintage,
Mhm.
did you have like your vintage stuff and then Dad has his vintage stuff, or y'all merge, or have to share, or?
He has his vintage stuff, and occasionally I'll play with it. And I also started working on, it was a Tandy computer. I can't remember which one, but I started working on one of those. It's not done, but I did start on one. Yeah, you over
She
there.
also I'll throw in some.
Okay, hold on.
So just real quick. So she's also getting involved in. She's got a music player that's a separate small music player. She's got a
From 2005.
voice recorder that's a separate piece. So breaking free from this one device that does everything, and she's got a separate camera. So yes, so she's being exposed to that, and all those are for her pieces. Yes.
How many vintage computers do you have?
Dad, how many vintage computers do we have?
She asked how many you have.
I have none that are exclusively mine.
On
I can come back to you. Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's what you want.
You have a pickle boy thing.
It's Pico, first of all.
Ah, yeah. It sounds like.
Also, second of all, I mean, yeah, I did do some of the soldering for that, so that might be one of the things that I guess counts.
Yeah.
Yeah, Zoe?
Lied to her.
Hold on. I think Kirby wins this one. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite source online to look at stuff about this, like a YouTuber or a blogger?
You mean like vintage computing and stuff? Well, I like the Macintosh Librarian and Action Retro and Usagi Electric. Those are some of my favorites. Action Retro, the Macintosh Librarian, and Usagi Electric.
Okay. Good. I'm doing it right.
I watch the Macintosh Librarian more than you do.
She's great though.
She's a teacher. She's actually a teacher. So.
Yes?
Wait, so for the Vocaloids, do you know if that like led to like the auto-tune like that singers use today?
It actually didn't, I believe, because it was made originally to detect something and then singers started using it. So, yeah, I don't think they're related. I don't think they are. Yep.
Have you used any of the Vocaloid software from that, like Miku or?
I haven't used any, but I've watched countless people using it, longingly wanting to use
Back in
it.
my day, I mean, Miku was also overpriced. We had to go to like 2gen and get those CD crackers. So,
That's cool.
Come on.
Yeah.
because it was expensive, so we had to get the CD crackers.
Yeah. Yes, Holly.
We had to program it to see what it was.
Who's the green Vocaloid on the picture you used?
So you got a question?
Oh, yeah.
What kind of hardware would you recommend somebody to try and get them interested in at a young age? Would you recommend a Macintosh or a Commodore or a Atari?
Well, this is going to sound very...
Personally,
It's very biased because I absolutely love Macs. So, like a Macintosh, they're not too old. So, like, you can progressively get older and just start with something kind of retro. And then, yeah, get used to the flickering screen. Then you can go to something else, maybe like a better monitor, and have like a better thing. And then you can also have like the bigger things, like the bigger computers that are kind of like boxes. Yeah, those ones are good to take apart because they're not all crammed into one space, but they're not all crammed into individual spaces either.
So just to throw it in there, so one of my friends just found out she likes Macintosh, and I'm not a Mac person, so that's why there are none in my house. But so he has a PowerPC based one that he sort of donated to her first starter one.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
You didn't tell me that. Thank you. Okay, yeah.
What do you not yet have that you most want in your collection?
Dang it, you just took it from me. Okay, then never mind.
She wants a something similar to either a classic Mac or
Yeah.
or a Mac Plus or Mac 2 or something like that.
Yeah, and then-
The original page.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. She wants an Mac. Okay.
Yeah.
Have you ever made computers talk or sing?
I mean, I know how to like play notes on one. I haven't actually made one like say things. Actually, hold on, that's a lie. I have made one say things, but it was like not singing, it was more speaking, and it sounded kind of bad. What? I don't remember, but there was like a speech. Yeah, Amiga, yeah. Probably.
I don't know when I get home.
Okay.
How do you do with like the high pitched frequencies, kind of? That like I'm like generally asking
Wait, what?
because like I hear like high pitched frequencies with like some old computers.
The CRT.
Like, yeah, it's like It's like a hybrid.
It's the screens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can like update to a newer computer, like a newer monitor for some of them. So,
Those
Yeah.
ones, like, they sometimes cause like a sensory overload. And just,
yeah, they're annoying, right?
Like, I had to,
Yeah.
last year I had to step out. It was way too much.
But Adrian to fix it. Let's-
Stop it. I know.
Okay, anyone else?
I had a quick comment or question.
Yeah.
We were at the talk that your father gave earlier today.
Mhm.
So he was talking about basic, and with Mac, are you guys planning to somehow make basic work on Mac?
There is a version of Basic that works on Mac. Yeah.
Very nice.
Yes.
How much do you like Max?
A lot.
How much do you like?
Hallie, I have 4 Mackie stickers. You've seen them all.
So I just to throw it in there, so she did mention that Action Retro and Macintosh Librarian, I blamed them for their fascination for Mac. They did a very good job of instilling
It's working, Dad.
I've looked at the work here because they're at another workspace.
What time is it?
You still got at least you got plenty of time.
Oh God.
So I'm gonna ask a question of the kids in the room. So what y'all think of the presentation?
Okay.
Did it say something to you?
Did it work to some degree?
It did. Well, duh. I was already into it.
Do I need to convince more people?
It doesn't work for you if you're already into it.
He's like, I mean, it just came here because there was
So you're
I see some
Yeah.
faces in here as well. So to the familiar faces in here, the adults, does this provide some hope
Yes.
for our hobby to be passed on?
Hold on, I would like to ask the kids something. Is there anything that has you not convinced yet? Hallie, we can discuss this at home. Put your hand down. Yeah.
Never mind.
Okay. Is there anything in here that has it? Like, is there anyone who's still not convinced? Did it? Okay, what do you want? Hallie, you're my sister. I live with you.
Can you tell me stuff about Atari?
Later.
Let other people ask questions.
Oh, yeah. Oh, sure. What?
What do you want me to
That was the only copyright-free one I could find. So listen to Ghost Rule then.
Well, that was great. Thank you.
Anyways, that was a great
Oh, God.
presentation.
Yeah.
My son would like to know what your favorite games are on vintage computers.
Oh,
Anyway, okay.
thank you. Gotta think about that one. There's a lot of good games. There's like Gorillas. He had that running on at our. That was really fun. I like that one. I like Pong. No, very basic. There's also like Sonic.
Sailor Moon.
Oh yeah, there is a Sailor Moon game. That one's fun.
That's why the Genesis was up
Mhm.
I need to look that up.
And also, this is gonna be very weird, but also Super Mario Brothers. I feel very bad for saying Sonic and Super Mario Brothers at the same time. Oh, and then there's also like most of the text games. Those are really fun.
there. About Sun's Up.
No.
It's all right. It's okay.
Oh my god. It's not that is not the name of it, Dad. Warcraft 2 I like Woodcraft 2 the best. It's really fun. It's also fun to play with like other people. LAN parties don't exist anymore.
Poppy, is it Adventure Time? Was it?
Does anyone have any more questions, related or not? Yeah.
What's your favorite activity at Vintage Max? Explain my
I'm sorry, what?
What's your favorite thing to do on your Vintage Mac?
Well, like whenever I see one, I like running the Oregon Trail because they have 2 versions of them on most of them. And I also like the web browser because I like how it looks. So whenever I want to look something up, I like the web browser. And then also I just I also like the drawing. I can't remember what that's called. I'm forgetting everything. But I like a lot. Give me 2.
Yes.
Because I'm basically done, Hallie. Does anyone have any more questions?
I have more, but I can't tell you that.
Yes, you.
I want to get to know you.
Oh, okay.
Can we be friends?
Yeah.
He's got a question.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I think it has to do with Nintendo. Do you have Switch 2 or something?
I do not, but we have like.
But what are your thoughts on, like, have you experienced frustration running, like, backwards compatible? Like, have you had any frustration with backwards compatibility, like, on certain hardware? Or I'm trying to figure out what example.
So I can translate your question.
Yeah.
So she doesn't have that problem because she runs
Yeah.
on the original hardware.
Yeah.
So she has access to a Famicom and NES, SNES.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I know for a fact that I'm coming from the Wii. When I was playing with the Wii,
The Wii is fun.
when I was your age, I mean the Wii. Actually, yeah, I was like 13 almost like 13 when the Wii came out. So I had a lot of compatibility issues with GameCube games running it because
Oh, yeah.
so different software.
That is true. We weren't able to get like 5 games running. It was very sad. I wanted to play those 5 games.
It's kind of sad that your generation's doing the same thing with Switch 1 and Switch 2 games because they have like Nintendo has lots of games that won't work on Switch 1 because
Yeah.
it's like a limited release. And they said, and they use the same shenanigans like, oh, Switch 1 games will work on Switch 2. There you go.
Yeah.
They run on different chips. They run on different chips.
So typically she's not having to encounter that problem because we're running original hardware.
Okay,
So-
you're a good parent, yeah.
Yeah.
It really does depend on the parenting style, but some parenting styles are so toxic that they just don't want kids to like run stuff on newer stuff, so.
I would prefer that she pick stuff that's not connected to the internet. So I kind of give her free reign on stuff that's not
What's your
connected.
question?
Yeah,
He's been.
I figured you would
Wait, what?
First of all, I like your music involved.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, and yes.
Speedos.
Well, there's no other questions. I guess she's done.
Yeah.
You little ones want to go up there and shake her hand and stuff. That'd be
Oh.
awesome.
Okay.